So I'll jump back to this page just to show you. You can click right here. And let's see what Adobe Firefly has to offer us. On the home page, let's start on the home page. We'll navigate around a little bit and then we'll start to play. We're going to see its three most powerful tools are right on top. Text to image generation, that's the one where we're going to spend most or all of our time, probably after this workshop. That's the fun one. Some generative fill tools, which is essentially taking what used to be very challenging in Photoshop and just making it very simple all in one place for us to use here on this on this webpage at firefly.adobe.com. And then one that I haven't found much use for yet, but is kind of cool, where you can type in a text style, like this might be furry rainbow colored hair, and then it'll make a font, or you pick a font and you pick the text, and then it'll make, out of yarn, or it'll make it out of tiger fur or whatever. So we'll look at that. There are a couple other ones that are really neat, but we're going to save them for another time. These are being integrated into Adobe Illustrator, where you can pick a color palette and it will recolor your vector graphics for you. And Adobe is now exploring and doing a great job where you can actually do text to vector graphic. We'll talk about vectors another time, but if you can imagine how long and how much effort it would take to create this Monstera plant leaf here, that would be a big challenge for everyone, but maybe Mr. Zivik. But now we can just type in Monstera leaves and it'll create that for us. Super cool. Down below, just to show you, we are on the second version of Firefly, the second model, and it is improved a lot. So this just shows you, if you want to play around, version 1 versus version 2. You can see like how typing water droplets on leaves would have looked in the first version compared to how it would look in the second version. So it is improving, and it's going to continue to improve because it's a learning software. And then just right before we jump in, some of the things that are on the horizon that they're working on is like 3D images that you could like take a 3D castle and type gingerbread or watercolor, and it'll create that for you. And what I'm most excited about is its teaching capabilities, where, for example, you could take your dog and feed it 100 photos of your dog and tell it your dog's name, and then you could type in Fido doing this or Fido doing that, and it's going to add your dog into all sorts of scenes. So we'll be able to teach the program in the future. That's on the horizon. Super cool. Before we jump in, up here on top, there's just some inspiration from the community. You can see what other people are typing in, and if you love it so much, you can hit like, and when you go over to favorites, I think maybe it takes a second. I don't know. Eventually, the things that you like will show up in your favorites. So let's go back to Firefly and let's start with text to image generation. You're welcome to do that with me now, or you just watch what I'm going to do and spend the rest of your day getting distracted from your real work playing with this. But the way it opens up, I don't love this interface because the real tool is just down here at the bottom, but they give you a bunch of inspiration starting at the top, like pigeons wearing medieval clothing, surf clothing. Okay, we want to make sure they were wearing clothing twice. So if we click on it, the computer has generated this image of these pigeons. Now I can make changes to this already existing prompt. For example, I could start at the top and I could make this widescreen. I could, let's scroll down. I could change like the effects, or I could change it to warm tones. I could give it low lighting. I could change the composition if I wanted. And then in the photo settings, for all my photography nerds out there, we could change the aperture, the field of view. We could change the depth of field. So 1.4 will make the background really blurry. could change the zoom, blah, 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 blah. You can really get down into the weeds, but just to show you how this works, let's change this to, instead of pigeons, let's do squirrels wearing medieval clothing, surf clothing. Let's try this prompt. It's going to take all of my recommendations and changes. Now we're at the mercy of the internet speed and what the internet wants to do right now, because it's going to be different every time. But here you can see it took the same prompt and changed it from pigeons to squirrels. So the other really cool thing, so let's say I like these, but I want more examples. If I just hit refresh, it'll just keep giving me more and more suggestions. And then I can pick individuals and say like, okay, this is the one I really like. And I can say, I can rate the result. And then, boy, they do keep changing it. Oh, show similar. I could click under this edit. I could say like, give me more of this. And then I might say, you know, I really like these guys, but I don't like the background. Let's hit remove background. Oh, it's going to open up in another program, in Adobe Express, and it can remove the background for me. Okay. So that I can have just those squirrels. But I could say show similar, say, I really like this, but it's not quite right. Give me another example. And then it'll show me, well, I don't think those are that similar, but okay. It's different every time. Now, the other thing that Firefly 2 has that Firefly 1 did not have, and I think is the biggest game changer of how this product is working, is if I have an already existing, let's say I have a screenshot. So this is a screenshot of a photographer I like, named Jack Ludlam. I could take this picture of this tumbleweed, and if I drag it right here, I can tell the computer to use elements of another image in this in this like in this prompt. So when I hit generate, it's going to take elements of this tumbleweed and incorporate them into my prompt. Let's see how this looks. Okay, so now it's like squirrels made out of tumbleweeds, which is really weird and crazy. Or let's get rid of that one. And he has another one made out of here, this cloud. Now let's see if we can get some like cloud elements generated in these squirrels. And again, you're always at the mercy of your internet speed. Okay, so that's super cool. Let's go back, however, whoops. And I can type, so cute. I can type right into this prompt. Maybe I don't want to work from someone else's prompt. Now, this is nice when I'm like, you know, I really like this like little clay cute guy, or I want a watercolor. It's easy to start from there. But maybe I type down here, skeletons riding, oops, bikes. Okay, and I want some, I can just like create something that isn't already existing. Like I don't need to work from somebody else's prompt. It's going to come up with what it thinks I might like based on art is selected. I could select photo. This might get really spooky. Brace yourselves. And you can see the difference of the way it's generated, whether you want something artistic or you want a photograph. Ooh. And you can see that some things are far more impressive than others because there's probably not a lot of examples of skeletons riding bicycles on Adobe stock. Now I can change this to all sorts of different lightings. We looked at that, but let's just say here I have another, like a spooky image. I could say, I really want it to look spooky. So let's add this and let's generate that. And I can help feed it references that are going to help guide the results of my prompt. Okay, and that is adorable. I think that we should put this on our Adobe page, Zivik. This could be you, me, and Alex. That's our new bio. Okay. And then, if you don't like the references that are here, you can look through the reference gallery and say, I kind of want it to look like a pencil sketch, or I want it to look 3D or digital illustration. So it can, it can guide you. So you can or you can help guide it using these prompts. Super cool. Okay. That's text to image. Wow. I think we're getting somewhere. That is text to image. And that's where you can have the time of your life and waste away hours of the day just typing things into your computer and coming up with amazing results. I do really suggest going through and just looking at a lot of the examples and just keeping in mind things like this that says a beautiful woman with long jet black hair, and remembering that this woman doesn't exist, right? It's 100% just pixels created from the computer. Same with this horse. And I don't know, this guy probably does exist. That looks real. Okay. Now let's talk about some of the other really cool things that we can do in Firefly, including generative fill. So if I click here, you can see that they have some samples and some prompts that you can use and try out. So let's try this one. And what I can do is I can remove or add different elements to an image. Now, keep in mind, we'll do this in a second. You can do this to your own image. You could click and drag your own image right here, and then change elements in this way. So for some of the simple things, I'm happy and sad to say we don't any longer need to know how to use Photoshop. We could, let's say we don't like this orange jacket. I can just paint over it. And maybe we want, all right, it takes a little longer. That's as big as I can make you can use the brackets on your keyboard to make this bigger and smaller, but it only gets so big. And I can choose add or subtract. If I push add, I might say leather jacket, and I'll generate that, and it's going to give me 3 options. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not. It's going to give me 3 options for a leather jacket. So Adobe has always had some version of artificial intelligence. Their artificial intelligence engine is called Adobe Sensei, and we've always had something called fill, content aware fill, where the computer is, or the program is aware of different elements. So before, if I were to do that and hit content aware fill, it would say, let's take a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and we could make something disappear, but it wouldn't be able to analyze an image and recreate, and add a leather jacket. So that's what's brand new. Now, I could also hit remove. Oh, let's save that. Let's keep what we did here. I could hit remove, or you know what? Let's stay on insert. I could hit remove background and it would just make it like a PNG. But if I hit insert and I click background, it's going to remove the background, and now I can put this person anywhere. So where do we want to put them? I don't know. Let's stay. We know it's going to be AI generated anyway. Let's stick with the jungle. And let's see how that looks. Leather jacket in the jungle sounds practical. Wait for it. There we go. So we'll have different examples, and of course they're going to be different every single time. So it's now you can all update your work headshot that you didn't quite like. You can make yourself look cool in a leather jacket. Let's go ahead, and I'll go back to generative fill, and just to show some of the other capabilities. This is an image I like to use in Photoshop demos, but I'll show you. I want to show you here as well. So, let me do that again just so you saw what I did. I just grabbed a file and dragged, and I'm going to drop it in this square right now, or in this rectangle. And I just want to show you that adding, you don't have to open Photoshop to do some things that are pretty creative and amazing. We can just do them here on this internet platform. And I'm going to add something. Let's give this person hair. Now, to add hair, what's important to note is that whatever selection I make is going to affect my results. So for example, if I go like this, I think they should make the brush able to be a bit bigger, but let's just type hair. So how I'm going to get things like mohawks and man buns or things or huge crazy things like this, right? So however you make your selection, that's going to directly affect your results. So if I just make like a normal sized selection, it's going to give me a different hairstyle than if I made a huge one. That one's still pretty big, but I don't know. I got big hair. Maybe I'm partial. Okay. Wait for it. Okay. So these are like maybe more typical hairstyles. Now, something to keep in mind is if I were to want to change the eyes to blue eyes, it's not going to just take the color of those existing eyes and change them blue. It's going to generate completely new eyes, right? So you can see I have examples of different eyes. So if you're changing something on a person, um, they're going to they're pretty quickly going to stop looking like themselves, right? So this person looks wildly different than where we started. All right. So those are some of the generative fill options. And then let's look at the text effect option. So again, I haven't found like a lot of practical use for this yet, but I'm hoping someone else does. Here's a lot of examples, like a dripping pizza. It just says pizza, right? So a font made out of pizza, a font made out of rubber balls, peacock feathers, rubber bands. And you can take someone else's like wool yarn, and it's going to, here we go, it's filling. And then I can change, I can make this say Civic, and I can change the colors, and I can change the font, and I can regenerate it. And it'll give me different examples. Whoop, it's working on it. And again, you're at the mercy of your internet speed. Okay. So that's how that one works. It's kind of fun in Firefly, but I'll show you how to use it in a more practical way. So let's jump back. And like I said, we're going to skip these two. And the last thing I'm going to show you is how we can use, without stepping on our toes for next week while we're using Adobe Express. I want to show you that. So I want to show you how to use some AI in the Adobe Express interface. And we'll talk about this a little bit more next week. But if you're already confident and comfortable with Adobe Express, these tools that I just showed you are already built into this program, and they're a little bit bigger and more impressive. So we still have text to image generation. We still have generative fill. Whoops, let's go back. I think, sorry, so you can upload your own image, or you can use an image that's in here, and you can do the same thing. Like, oh, this says add orange slice. So like if I painted right here, I could hit generate and add an orange slice. Let's give it a second to think. There we go. So now it gives me different examples of orange slices in the color. So I could add a label, you can add whatever you want. And this is a great way to add your photos, upload your photos, and add things to your scene. Now, the one thing that they've added recently is called text to template. And this is a really cool idea. It's in beta, so be gentle. Don't be, the more specific you type, the worse the results for sure. So the more you add, the more confused it's going to get. So right at this point, it's like, let's keep it pretty simple. So like, let's say birthday invite for my dog, completely capable of creating a birthday invite for your dog where it's going to have puns and it's going to have computer generated images. Okay, here we go. Potty time is, I don't, that sends the wrong message to me, but you can see it's capable of adding or or creating an invitation for your dog's birthday. Now, if I were to put like outer space themed birthday part invite for my dog um, with planets and pizza. Okay, the more complicated you get, and I hope it proves me wrong, it just gives you like a few stock ones just to say like, we're not quite there yet. Let's see what, oh my goodness. All right, well, although maybe this dog came from outer space, and that's going to scare off anyone thinking about coming to the party. You can see that every day it's a little bit different. Um, that was a happy surprise. So let's click this one. And now that I clicked on it, you can see that all of these elements, well, I guess not all of them, most most of these elements, so a lot of this back one here, you can see this background includes, this is like one flat image. These aren't all, so it generated this image in the background and then it added these editable elements on top. Okay, I can also add my own, like I could add something on top of this. So let's click media just to show you that I can continue to use Firefly in this program. If I click media, and we'll look at this more next week, I can click text to image and maybe add a square, and I'll add dog in party hat. And it'll give me a few options, a few results, and then I can always load more. Okay, oh, this guy looks like he's in trouble. I like that. So I'm gonna put this one down here. Let's go ahead and remove the background from it. Okay, and now it's a real party. Two's a party, right? Three's a crowd. So I could move this up here, move this here, and now I have my invitation ready to send out. So just wanted to show you how these elements that are already in Firefly are moving into Adobe Express and then getting even bigger as we move forward. And this is what we'll be looking at a little bit next week.